Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Monoxide Podcast for episode 19. Today we have Terry, who is also known as Gitlow Media. I met him a few years ago when he had his NSX and his Ferrari 458, and then things kind of took off ever since.
We're going to talk about his upcoming trip to Monaco to watch F1, and we talk about some of the car adventures we've shared.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Monoxide Podcast. I believe this is episode 19 now, and let's just introduce the old co-host, Sean.
Yeah, what's up, guys?
Just casually staring at the camera.
Well, we got video now, so...
We almost didn't have video today because I was running a little late and forgot things. But let's just go ahead and kick this off and introduce Terry, who is our guest, a.k.a. Gitlow Media.
Hey, Harris.
That shirt has lasted me forever, by the way.
It's a fantastic shirt.
I've never had a shirt last longer than a Gitlow Media shirt. It's hilarious.
Yeah, I'm shocked. And it's soft as hell, no matter how many times you wash it.
Very liberal shirt, Terry.
Yeah, I got one of those too. It's one of my favorite workout shirts.
Yeah,
it's so soft and
fantastic.
breathes really well.
Yeah. And so one of the things I did that I thought that was fairly unique was people who purchased the shirt, and the money actually went for charitable causes, for education in Bloomington. But I told them, hey, if you're wearing your shirt and I see you at a car show, we can get in the car and we'll go for a drive.
Yeah,
just around the block, right? Just as part of that experience. But I thought that was a nice enhanced way to be able to engage people who follow Gitlow Media.
Okay,
Yeah.
I think you let me sit in the driver's seat, but I never got a ride in it.
Well,
so
no, we can do that.
We're gonna have to fix that.
Dude, I live right across the street.
I know
from
you came to my house and you're like, here, come sit in it. I'm like, wow, this thing's low.
And it's fantastic. That's really one of the joys, as you know, just being able to share the car experience with anybody.
Can't relate. I keep everything to myself.
Really?
I'm kidding.
No, you don't. You usually show up at my house when you get a new car and we go for a ride.
Yeah, every time.
Every time, yeah.
Yeah, the Cherokee, the
Gladiator.
Gladiator.
Yeah, he was the first person.
I've seen
Even
you
this
over
one
there
here,
a couple times. I'm like, oh, I guess we're all hanging out at Terry's.
But this is a great block for cars, though. You see all types of cars come back and forth. And just yesterday, there was a Maserati MC20.
Oh, is that around here? The
Yeah, it
neon
was like
one?
right down the street.
Okay, because I
The-
saw
the
that
bright
one at
yellow one.
Lori's a few weeks ago.
Yeah, I'm not certain if they live here, but they were in the neighborhood.
Okay.
So, I mean,
haven't seen that one drive through yet.
it's pretty special.
Yeah.
Really, really nice.
I wonder if that's the same guy that had that yellow Huracan before. Who knows, maybe. But
I don't know. I've been seeing a lot of cars. There was a white Huracan that was just dropping off a kid over at Jeffers Pond.
Yeah.
that might be Ike. Yeah.
That's
Was that Ike?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it looked really, really nice. No, it was an Asian guy driving it, though.
Oh.
Because I saw Ike's car, and Ike's didn't have the whole pressed carbon fiber setup, but that
No,
one did.
he doesn't like carbon fiber unless it's the uniformed
The weave. Right.
Not the
Oh,
forged.
you know who that could have been? It could have been Tian or Triad, one of those two guys, because that car might have just came back from Tint Pros because they just had a white Huracan, and that used to be the yellow one that was here. I might be full of it.
And
but
is that Huracan the one being used for the Turo?
No, that's a different one. So Driveify, who I believe will have coming on as a sponsor here soon.
Yeah.
They got a convertible one. I can't remember what color it was.
It was
I feel like
white.
it was brown.
Brown? No.
I don't know. I think I might be losing it. It's been a long day because I and we'll touch on this. I came back from autocross, so I'm just riding the high of that, because it was my first time ever doing it. I haven't been on a track in over 5 years.
Yeah.
That's when I rented a Huracan for my 18th birthday in Vegas. So I don't have any track experience to say the least.
Yeah.
And
How are the road conditions today?
they were good. So groups 2 and 3 got rained out a little bit. Whereas it dried up for me, thankfully, because my tires were squealing the whole track. I was going for it.
What type of tires are you running?
PS4s.
Oh, that should be fine.
Yeah, I think my PSI was a little too low, so the sidewall probably wasn't stiff enough as I'd like it. Yeah, so it's like gray, brown, gray.
That's
Yeah,
great.
it's like the interior is beautiful. I love the contrast on that with the matching calipers. That is very, very nice. So, surprisingly, these are actually very affordable to rent. If you think about what it costs per day, how many miles are allocated, and the fun factor, it's absolutely a steal. The one in the center was the GT3, and I think that's AJ.
That one's a steal, yes.
AJ's GT3. It was being run during the winter.
Yeah, yep.
So I'm not certain what kind of Soda Zeros or what type of tires they
Yep.
had on it, but
They had winters.
obviously there's going to be some issues with traction and control and all that stuff.
My buddy that came into town, he actually ended up renting the R8, but he almost rented the GT3 that weekend. I don't think he was able to for whatever reason, but I think it might have been out. But yeah, the R8, I mean, I raced that R8 and won, but
well, it's just a V8, so
it's just a V8. It's still
and it's got that terrible automatic. Was it R-tronic?
It's still fun to drive.
It's a win.
Oh, it's still gonna be fun.
And it's all-wheel drive, right? Compared to the GT3.
I think that one was all-wheel drive. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when my buddy came to town to rent it, and he was my brother was gonna ride with him. My parents both came out like, "What are you guys crazy? Like he's gonna be going into a sports car. It's winter. There's ice." And I'm like, "Guys, that car is safer than mine right now because those are fresh winters."
Fresh winters and all-wheel drive.
Yeah.
That's why I'm surprised that they would allow the rental of the GT3, which is quite a bit of power and rear-wheel drive. Anybody with just a marginal degree of experience will probably put that into a wall.
Probably only on dry roads, not fresh powder. Like if it just snowed the night before, they probably like, okay, we gotta wait for the snow.
Imagine the renter renting it for that day says, I know I have 24 hours. I don't really care about road conditions. I'm gonna maximize my experience driving this car. So they're gonna go us, right? Who's gonna let up? Who's gonna let up on a day where you have access? It
was rough when we went. So when he came into town, that R8, it was slick. Like he was all over the road. So yeah, no, we would have probably not have sent it if it was the GT3, but maybe.
Yeah.
And that's the worrying part when you look at it from their perspective. It's like, but then again, insurance covers it if it's a renter, right?
Sure, but you don't want to have to go through that process because it's a bit of a nightmare. Insurance companies tend to not want to pay out. Right, and so they'll find a reason, and you don't want to be on the short end of that stick when they find the reason not to compensate you, right?
Yep.
And the other thing is that you've got downtime with the vehicle, so it's in the shop getting repairs. You can't rent it out, and assuming that the insurance is going to pay for those days that are unrentable, but who knows?
That's a big assumption
That's
too.
a huge assumption. Yeah. So
no, my brother wanted to get into the Turo game, like pick up one of the new GR86s or something, and just put it out there, and it might be a possibility in the future. But the thing is, and I told him this, I'm like, what happens when that car breaks and that's your single source of income? I mean, or whatever your other side job is, but then that car is sitting, you're not generating anything. It's a worry unless you have a stable background of income, at least in my opinion.
Yeah, that shouldn't be your primary.
Yeah,
it should be like a part-time.
I have friends that have it as a primary and it works, but that's because they have 10 cars.
Well, exactly.
The GR86 is solid. Yeah. That's a solid car. I mean, the chances of it breaking down are probably slim unless
I'll find a way.
Driver abuse.
Speaking of driver abuse, Carissa brought hers out today. One of the new GR86s at Autocross. That thing freaking scoots.
Oh, yeah. Really?
That is an impressive car. I love the looks of it. They have some nice wheels on there. Apparently, they're sponsored by Fitment Industries, which is pretty cool to find out. But no, that car is that thing's a beast.
Well, they finally put the right motor in it, right?
I think it's the same motor, isn't it?
It's the most powerful version, and I think it makes like 240 horsepower.
Right. I think it was around 200.
The GR badge, like that means business now.
Right.
Like that is like tied to the Corolla, and they put it on the Supra, but the Supra was already like a super awesome car. But them showing off like, here's what we can do with the BRZ, here's what we can do with the Corolla. That's really impressive.
You mean the non 2.0 Supra?
The non 2.0, yeah.
Right.
No, the 2.0, that's not a Supra. That's going to be the budget beater.
I got so mad when somebody sent me one because I told them I was looking at Supras. I went to Toyota a few weeks ago. I was asking some questions because I am somewhat in the market, at least for this summer. But somebody's like, oh, you can get them super cheap. I'm like, really? Where? She's like, yeah, I just saw one for 46 or 47. I'm like, shoot it on over. And then I'm like, 2.0. She's like, okay, and it's not that much slower. I'm like, yeah, but when you start modding cars, there's ceilings, right? Like that 2.0, who knows how far you can mod it? Maybe 400 or 500 horsepower. Whereas the 3-liter, we've seen them at 8 or 9.
Yeah. 550 safely before you have to start reinforcing a lot of stuff. But when we were down at Texas 2K, there was tons of Supras, well over 700-800 horsepower. And they were saying that it is just bulletproof. Great car. But, it's B58 or bust. But hopefully, if they come out with the GRMN with the S58, that'll be really amazing.
Oh, yeah.
And
I think a lot of people saw the post of the M2 with the S58.
Or the over 700 horses, right?
Yeah.
Just a downpipe.
Downpipe and tune, 255 plus horsepower. That's insane.
Right. So they're doing a good job with the motors.
that same day, I reached out to Kevin Yantis, Hunt for Horsepower. He works over at BMW Motorworks, and I was like, all right, how much is the deposit? Because I honestly might throw a deposit on the M2.
That's what Storm said.
Right, but the thing is, at the same time, if they put that S58 in a Supra, which again, just it's not even a rumor. Why
we don't
There's
know
no
that.
way.
You don't know that. So the last
That's
model
BMW's
year,
secret weapon.
BMW gives away their secret weapons and just down tunes them.
you never know.
Even
They
to
might,
themselves.
They might do 100, 200, maybe even 350 units. S58 GRMN closeout of the last final year of the Supra.
Oh, great.
Right? So, that'll
the
be
car's going to
225.
cost like $90K.
So what?
Done. Sold.
So what?
I'll do it for $90K
Yeah, I
all
would
day
do
long.
it. No
How
problem.
much? The new M2 is like $70K.
Great, but the
fine.
Supra looks better. Don't get me wrong. The M2 isn't horrible in person.
$20K better.
Yeah, it is. It's ugly.
It,
Every angle of that car is ugly.
Which
But
one?
the,
the M2?
yeah, the new one.
No.
ugly.
I think the sides at least look good.
the sides are good. The
Because
front
you don't
is
have to
rough.
look at the bumpers. That's
Yeah,
why.
yeah. The bumpers are god awful. Taillight, headlights, all of it's just pretty bad.
Fortunately, there's aftermarket bumpers available.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sure they're already working on it.
Yeah, for example, like the M3s and the M4s, you could get one of those Ardo bumpers. Have you seen those?
They're great.
Oh,
They're
yeah.
incredible.
They get rid
The
of that
G-
giant nose.
GT3 body kits look good on the BMW.
Yeah, yeah.
There's,
there's a
like
lot of
extra
options.
wide. The arrow on the front's way more aggressive. Like the snout is also way more aggressive. It's not just this big empty space.
I'm excited.
Speaking of fenders, I was really shocked that the Integra Type S, that Acura decided, hey, we're just going to widen the fenders on these.
Yeah.
Yeah, compared to the
That's
standard Integra.
that's the
Shocked.
standard for how do we make a car more sporty?
Right.
We make the
Can you pull that up?
fenders
I don't know
wider.
if I've seen
Yeah,
that
it's got
actually.
the triple exhaust as well, the same one from the Civic Type R. Basically, it's the same as the Civic Type R motor with additional 5 horsepower, whatever,
Ooh.
tuning or exhaust, whatever. But they are only releasing a certain number initially on the first rollout. I don't know.
Yeah, look at that.
I don't know if it's good. They're going to make more, but
Okay, that's a sharp looking car, man. I shot one a few weeks ago, like the TSX or whatever the heck the
They
nuts.
they did the Dodge wide body treatment to it. That's what it looks like.
Looks like an Asian Chrysler 300.
with no rivets, beautifully formed. I think they did a pretty nice job.
I like it.
So what
against-
about the Honda Civic Type R? Does that also have wider fenders on it than the?
I don't
base
know.
model?
I don't
I
know.
saw a wide body Type R at a meet last week. That it looked pretty it looked like the kit wasn't perfectly installed, but it still looked so good.
Was it the new gens? Civic
No,
Type
last
R?
gen.
Oh, the old. Okay.
What's the new gen? The new gen's the FK9.
FK8.
Is it 8?
Yeah,
So
the
the
one
last
right
one's
there,
7. Okay.
the red one. So the fender flares they're not as extreme as the Type S.
No,
See, they're more conservative.
they just threw the R badge on. They're like that's sporty, and I guess the big wing.
Right.
You
But
know,
it's
I
a
like
lot
it.
more mature compared to the previous gen.
Oh, so much better. That's what I love. That's what I've been saying. I don't like the previous gen because it looks like a hot pot or a Hot Wheel car.
Right.
I
It's like
disagree.
boy
It's
racer
amazing.
car.
It's the best.
The
Yeah.
wing is way too big, and it's like they were like, let's throw all the fake arrow at it.
It's a hot boy. That's what it's supposed to be. I
Maybe
freaking
we're
love it.
we're not in that age demographic any longer, right?
Oh,
so
yeah,
this
you-
appeal is more appealing to us.
If you pull up to any light in that car, everybody's gonna want to race you because they're like, oh, this guy thinks he's hot shit. But you pull up in this, and you're gonna be like, I'm comfortably cruising right now.
But the people who know will know.
Yeah, but yeah, exactly. It's got respect.
Yeah.
Put some
And
respect.
it's done a fantastic job. I mean, in terms of being able to pull lap times. For
Yeah.
front wheel drive,
Yeah,
it's one of
true.
the fastest.
Oh yeah, I mean Honda's got probably one of the best front wheel drive systems
Right.
out there.
Yep. They've upped their game. I think they've done a fantastic job. But who else has really stepped up is Toyota. Like
Oh, yeah.
now in terms of
Ooh.
performance,
Yeah.
for a long period of time, they were the boring Japanese automaker. And
Yeah.
then they've come back with a vengeance. So I'm really, really happy about that.
With great partnerships too. I mean, a lot of people make fun of the Supra, but I mean, it's one of the greatest partnerships ever. With
No
the-
issue with it. Think about it. I mean, you're getting a Supra with that degree of technology and that amount of power for 60 grand, roughly 60 grand. That's a steal.
Yeah.
Right? They said it was going to cost about 100 grand if they were going to use a Toyota engine in it.
Oh
Their
yeah.
own developed
because
Toyota
yeah,
engine.
it would cost them so much more.
Speaking of Toyota engines, you know what I managed to sit in last week? Well, first of all, I sat in a lease, which has been a few years. Rough. If I were to drive it, I'd hit the steering wheel with my knee. But I managed to sit in an Evora because I don't know if you guys remember that Evora I shared on Facebook, the red one that looked really good. Yeah. Well, I basically went out with a vengeance trying to find what it would cost, to do that. And then I went that same night. I sat in one, and I'm like, huh, I actually fit in this car. Like, it's actually really comfortable in that Evora, and that's like it's like a budget supercar because it's got a Toyota motor.
Right.
It's a great
Was it a
partnership.
Camry motor?
Yeah. I think so. Hey, Sean,
Hey, Harris.
do you need a roofer?
I could use a guy.
Well, I'm glad you agree. I saw your roof. You definitely need a roofer. And guess what? I think we know a guy. Do you remember Eric from the podcast like a million episodes ago?
Yeah, of course.
Well, guess what? He is the Twin Cities' finest contractor. All right? He'll get you taken care of because this summer, Minnesota being Minnesota, it's going to throw hail at your roof. It's going to have tornadoes throwing shingles off your roof. You know what? You don't know what's going to end up there. And he's going to get you taken care of because when you Google Solaris Roofing, you're going to see 5 big, beautiful yellow stars, and they're going to be telling you that he does not take a no when it comes to perfection. So you're going to reach out to him, either going through Google or you're going to go to solariscos.com. And let me tell you something, Sean. Are you going to reach out to him?
I'm going to reach out to him today.
Well, I'm glad you answered that way because, buddy, you need a new roof.
Yeah, the new Lotus is absolutely beautiful. If we ever get them. Have you seen the new Lotus?
What was that? It was.
Go ahead and pull it up. You have to take a look. So they basically have a Toyota engine model with a manual transmission, but the design, I think it's the Amira.
I don't mind that SUV. I don't have beef with it.
No, it looks good.
I think a lot of people are just SUV haters.
Is this it?
yeah.
What is this?
So take a look at that one.
Is this the one that Tony and Trung had on order?
Yeah. Well, part of the challenge that Lotus had was delivering on these items. And in addition to that, because of the delay, the price has changed. I don't think this one's it. I think it's the Amira.
Amira,
Yeah.
there we go.
So a lot of people pulled out of their orders, unfortunately.
This is like the perfect baby supercar. I mean, look at that rear end. I mean, that's an ass I can
Every
smack.
angle of this thing looks beautiful. Look at the shift mechanism if you get a chance to look at the interior. So go back up just a bit. You click on interior. And then take a look. So that's a non-manual, of course, but if you can get one with a manual, it is stunning.
Yeah, this is actually very good for a Lotus. I feel like
It's the best interior I've seen.
from what they used to be, which was like these like stripper cars with
Yep.
nothing in them.
Yeah.
You had to pay extra for AC or radio, essentially.
It's a track car.
Yeah, exactly. But now it's looking like they're trying to get more people into a Lotus, and that's probably why they're also making an electric SUV, and they're just trying to get a little bit more market share. They can't just be a track dedicated car.
But it's still very driver centric. Look
Yeah.
at the cockpit setup.
I mean, there's nothing for the passenger. It's literally just driver, and it's so minimal too.
You know what's fucked up? I like it more than a McLaren's interior. Now, granted, the passenger side is very similar. Just barren for the passenger, but it looks like it has a little more to it because like Eric's 570S, it's very like just plain inside. It's got a couple cool knickknacks and features in there, of course, as any supercar would. But yeah, that freaking Lotus, I mean, I love it.
Yeah, it's fantastic. I hope to be able
I
to
don't
see
know
more
how I
of
feel about
these.
that hood vent, the angle from like a certain angle, but I don't know. Otherwise, I like it.
I'm sure all the aero is functional. Every hood scoop, opening. Yeah, very nicely done. The execution's flawless.
Looks quality too.
Well, we'll see once it actually gets into production here, and we can see many more models.
So are any being delivered yet or no?
I know that they have been delivered. I don't know
Okay.
how many here in the United States.
Yeah, because who was it that canceled it? Was it Trung or was it Tony? One of the
Maybe
two.
both. I think Tony said he didn't want to buy first year cars, and then Trung, I believe, canceled his order as
Available
well.
Q2 of 2024.
Yeah.
Or the first edition available Q3 2023.
So that's the one you want to avoid.
So part of the rub was that the price went up too.
I mean, I'm fine with that. I mean, 103K. I mean, you get a lot for that.
AMG engine.
Yeah, that's the same engine that's in the little Mercedes hatchback, right? Which, as a reminder, is the most powerful 4-cylinder ever made, I believe.
Yeah,
Like per cylinder.
Yeah, I would get the 6.
So there is
With the manual.
a 6-speed manual option.
What's the motor for the? Oh, sorry.
The motor?
That was the 6.
Yeah. Oh,
They got a
oh.
V6 and a inline 4.
Oh, what's the V6 motor?
Supercharged 400 horsepower, which is a lot considering the weight of the vehicle. And you'll get that nice supercharger whine. You don't have the tunability of a turbo, though, which I'm sure a lot of people would consider, because that i4, you'll be able to tune that.
That's
quite a
true.
bit.
You can get that quite up there, yeah. So I mean, it's a question that remains.
I think they're both decent choices.
If you really wanted to go balls to the wall, just take off the supercharger and throw on turbos. If you really feel like you got a blank checkbook, but
Twin turbos?
yeah, twins. Yeah, no, that's a beautiful car.
I just want to see what the manual looks like.
Yeah, I don't know why they don't have it here, but it's
Because they hate you.
it's a skeletonized, exposed shift gate.
Nice.
I don't know why it's not there, but anyway, if you ever get to see it, it's a thing of beauty. It's like a Singer. Have you seen the Singer shift mechanisms?
Okay. Now
the Singer
doing a lot of
Porsche.
looking up.
This is gonna be our most visual episode yet. I love it.
Yeah, so make sure to check
Singer-
us out on YouTube so you can see what the heck we're looking at.
Yeah, Singer Porsche shifter. Now numeric.
Oh yeah, that's
there
a
we go.
shifter.
So
I'd
far
say.
left. Yeah, there we go. Carbon fiber cage. I don't know, probably exotic shift materials. Titanium.
See, this is why I say I'm a shitty photographer. Look at these photos.
You just need a step ladder.
Or
That's what I'm talking about. They're so sharp. I need to
It looks
upgrade.
good.
Okay.
You can stare at a Singer for hours. It's a work of art. There we go.
I've begun to appreciate them in the last few years.
There we go.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Carbon fiber frame. I'm assuming some kind of titanium material there. But
I would be so annoyed if
how
I lost a
beautiful that
French
is.
fry in that.
yeah, Singer does a very nice job. And for Singer, it's not about just putting together parts. It's how the parts work synergistically as an art form. That's why you can look at these things for hours. And I believe over at Imola, there's a Singer in there.
Oh yeah. That's the guy who owns the Bugatti, I believe, as well. That's the green one you're talking about.
Yeah, it was
So
darker
here's
color.
Speaking of art forms, so pull this up. I don't know if you guys have seen this. This is absolutely dying. It was the guy who put a Senna in his apartment. So Senna in an apartment or whatever.
Right.
Did you see the photos?
Did
of
he
this
crane
thing?
it up?
Yeah. You
Yeah.
gotta look at this freaking crane. Because when I okay, images.
If it was yours, you'd do the same thing.
Look at this. Look at the freaking crane.
That's right.
Do you know how much of a project that would be?
That probably costs like half as much as the car to have them be like, okay, we got to have this whole crane installed to the side of this building and then have a dedicated crew to come in and fit this thing. And the apartment's not even done. Like they're still building his $39 million
Are you able to see if there's
penthouse.
more photos?
But imagine the cool points. You have guests coming into your house. You have this beautiful Senna right in the
Yeah, hopefully
living
Fast and
room.
Furious doesn't decide to come in and
man. That is special.
take a video. Or,
What guy doesn't want to have his car parked in the
Turn
living
on
room?
the audio.
Yep.
Yeah, dude, that is gnarly. I mean, that is not quiet please money.
I back in the day, I had a
Look at it.
Ducati 1198, and I wanted to park it inside the house. The wife was not cool with that.
What a cool photo opportunity, though. Like, for example, like that Dodge Demon that they dropped with a helicopter or whatever when they
Yeah.
revealed that. Like this, imagine if they announced cars like that.
Yeah, I don't even know if this one is street legal. This one's probably
It's a race car. It's
Yeah.
a,
Is
it's
it the
like
Senna
G-
GTR?
GTR too.
Okay.
We saw one of those in Houston, actually.
Yeah.
Beautiful car. I mean, the Senna is already beautiful, but when we saw the GTR,
Like
It's
they
a
had
work
to
of art.
remove a whole section of the building.
right. And they had to do a partial street closure.
Yeah. Just the permits, the cost of
this is at least a $3 million project. I mean, what city is
no,
this in?
the car cost $3 million.
Right, but listen, as
Looks
somebody
very
who's
flat.
taking
Looks
permits
like
out.
Miami. It's probably Miami. There's nowhere else that somebody's got like.
Senor, it is Miami. You have to say it like that. I can't say Miami. I have to say Miami. I don't know. I've lost it.
He went there once, and this is what it did to him.
Listen, I'm telling you, man. When you see, it's an amazing culture out there. I love
I
love
know,
Florida.
it was a Australian.
So speaking of Miami just had the F1
Yeah.
like last weekend.
What a boring race.
I did not actually watch it, but I was seeing
Good.
the menus that were available circulating on the internet as to how expensive some of the items were. And I don't know
Yeah.
if those were in the VIP suites.
It was for a group of 4 as well, I believe. It was for groups of 4.
Right, but those were appetizer style servings though.
Yeah, yep.
Because the idea is that you look at the menu, you order 3 to 4, perhaps even 5 different items to share with your family and friends.
Yeah.
4 of them.
Get a fruit basket for $350. Like,
Yeah, I can't imagine how much the liquor costs.
Oh gosh, I have it on my phone, but it's quite expensive. It's like getting bottle service at a club for $1,500.
Yeah.
Right.
And it was like, let's serve these people the most basic meals ever.
they had some crab too.
So there was a photograph of a meat sandwich, some type of steak sandwich, Wagyu steak, and it looked absolutely horrible. And I'm not certain if it was real or not. But if I was served anything like that looked close to Arby's, I would toss it back.
Yeah, probably same catering from Fire Festival.
Oh no!
I was about to say that too. I was about to say it's a new Fire Festival. That guy's back out, by the way. I don't know if I think I said this in a few episodes ago. That guy's back out, and he wants to make a new Fire Festival.
Yeah.
He's out of jail now.
Is he gonna do it with Ja Rule?
I don't think Ja Rule's down.
Ja Rule, he said, "Yeah, I've been there, done that. Not doing that again."
Yeah, that's basically what Whiplash was, Fire Festival. It was the funniest thing when we got trapped in the parking ramp, and then we couldn't figure out, like, who's paying for the... It was ridiculous. We were trapped in the parking ramp for 20 minutes
Yeah,
in
that's a long
Nashville.
time.
Well, yeah, because, like, they gave us the whatever to get out. Like, they approved us. And then we
Yeah.
got there, and then it wasn't working, and I was just, like, running.
We broke their machine, that's for sure.
Yeah, we broke... And then one side couldn't get out even after. So they had
Nice,
to
Harris.
dude, that rally, so it was a freaking mess. Like, I was wrapping cars at the end of day one. Like, everything that could have went wrong, but people still had such an amazing time. Like, Reed, for example, he's like, dude, this is like, in some aspects at least, better than Crown. And that was a high compliment to me, because some things I did execute hopefully better. Some things not quite there, but it's there's some Fire Festival moments. Like, for example, the go-karting didn't happen because of rain.
Oh, it's an outdoor go-kart.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so I was a little bummed about that. My pocketbook wasn't, but nonetheless.
But you've recovered.
We're,
or you're
by
in
the
the
end of this
process.
month. Yeah, we're in the process
That's
of it. Yeah,
fantastic.
so
Well-
that's why I'm looking at Supras.
Was that going to be like the go-karting event? Was that going to be like another Le Mans style race?
No, unfortunately, go-karting places don't like to work with me on that, because I mean, I get it. It's a little more liability to worry about, because somebody gets whacked by a go-kart. Like, you remember my previous, what's it called, business partner going down that pit lane
Yeah.
and freaking going sideways in a pit lane. I mean, so it's something to worry about, but no, that one would have been some sort of teams.
Yeah, well, that was probably like the most fun that I had, like go-karting, was
Yeah.
the Le Mans style. Everybody took like, was it like 10 minutes? And then it was like 40 minutes or something of
Yeah, stints.
racing. Yeah.
Yep. So it was 4 people to a team, right?
Yeah.
And then you would do like a 10-minute stint or whatever, and then come in, and you would just basically hot swap and get back on the track.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Can't we do that here in Stockholm?
I tried.
They
It's a
don't. They
no-go.
don't have a pit lane. I mean, they have the pit lane that goes like up that hill,
Right.
And it would just take. I don't know. That
Too
would
long.
just be a weird, because the way that what was it in Pennsylvania?
Yeah, they had a side pit lane,
Yeah,
like
it
an
was
actual
like,
track.
the track, and then the pit lane that went right off the
Mm-hmm.
side, so it wasn't like up the hill and then back down the hill. or
Yeah, because imagine trying to go up that hill at Stockholm as fast as you can.
something. Oh yeah.
And then
Yeah, it's a little bumpy up there too.
it's bumpy. Yeah,
Yeah.
and then it's a U-turn.
But so what? Every team would have to go through the exact same thing.
Unless you had a
so
pit
there's no
lane limiter.
advantage. Yeah, you can like say reasonable speed, right? Whatever that
Right,
means.
or get black flag.
and then
out
you
of
have
the race.
Trung driving, and then his reasonable is 80, right through pit lane.
Oh, this is a story I have to tell. So when I first met Trung, and this is like my first year of knowing you as well, right? So this is when you had the chrome wrap, Alex had the Aventador wrapped in chrome, and I was, I had my camera or whatever, and I was hanging. Oh no, you had the Ferrari that day. So you had the Ferrari out, and now shooting rollers at the Aventador or whatever. It was a fun day. But anyways, when we got to the Capitol or whatever, I think that's where we started. Somewhere around there.
Yeah, it was probably a hump day cruise.
Yes, it was a hump day cruise, and then you were like, you'd probably have some fun riding with Trung. Have you met Trung before? And
He had the R8 that day, right?
he had the R8 that day, the
Yeah.
convertible R8, and I'm like, oh, hey, nice to meet you. And in my head thinking, I'm like, oh my God, I get to ride an R8. How cool of an experience. This is going to be amazing. And it was, but when I get in that thing and I'm thinking, oh my God, I might actually die, because he was weaving at about $140 allegedly kilometers an hour.
In Mexico.
In Mexico. Oh my God. And in my head, like in slow-mo, I'm thinking to myself, like, I might die today, but I'll die in an R8.
That's right. You'll die a happy man. Surprisingly, so outside looking in, it seems like he's driving a bit reckless. However, I've ridden with him on a rally, a friend's cruise.
Yes.
And it's actually very, very safe inside because Trung is
Yeah,
an
yeah.
excellent driver.
He is such a good driver. When I watch him drive, I mean, yeah, you can tell that he knows what he's doing behind the wheel because he has experience. There's other people which all three of us have seen on rallies that drive fast, and you can tell like this ain't gonna end well.
Well, Trung also values his life. Like he
Right.
actually cares. So you are going to make it home in one piece. And we actually just came back from the Ozarks, and fortunately we only had one incident where a tire blew out.
Yep.
And so we still made it back and just fine. But it doesn't matter what happens during a rally. It's all part of the experience. You know, and the camaraderie you have with your other fellow drivers. That's what
yeah.
makes these rallies special. Speaking of rallies, so I know that your rally is on hiatus, or for
We'll
now.
call it a pause for now.
Yeah, for now. What is going on with Crown?
That is a conversation I've had with many different people, and the answer comes back to we don't know. There's a lot of rumors and stuff going around there, and I don't want to speculate, but it's a tough situation that they're in given what happened. So we don't know. Even the people that are close to the people that run it, they don't know. So there's no official word of anything happening.
Well, everybody's asking because Crown made a significant impact in our car community, also for the charitable foundations, and really bringing together a family. I know that they joke about it in Fast and Furious, but
I was about to say.
in Crown Rally, they really do have that camaraderie with everybody. And I recall having participated in Crown Rally twice, and it was an absolute joy. Ton of fun. We went to Chicago I went to Chicago twice. But yeah, it's a little sad to see that it may or may not be occurring this year. I know people look forward to it well in advance. Whenever they make the tickets available, they're sold out in like less than 20
Can't
minutes.
relate.
Well, how I see it is there are opportunities, right? Because there's going to be more demand for it. I know
You think,
Balto has like either one or two going on.
Yes, community. So use code monoxide to save $100. But no. So I actually was talking to Joey from G-Force actually, and even he's noticing that even though he's doing well for himself rally wise, there's not as many people interested as it used to be. And
Why?
there's a number of factors that I think it might be. I think one of them's economic. You know, even though the people that go on rallies typically can afford them, it's just another expense, I feel. And then also,
And they're not insignificant. They're at least $1,500 a pop and up.
I haven't seen anything less, a good rally less than 1,900.
Okay.
And when you look at, on a national scale, like we're blessed to have community here, because when I was looking at some of the ones that like Asa's putting on, Asa from Crown, his are pretty expensive, amazing events.
Canon's
Yes.
got two.
That's right. Yeah, I guess I forget about.
And where do
theirs all
those
the
go
time.
for? I thought those were around 900.
I don't know. I know they're on the cheaper. Actually, I haven't even looked at their price. They're fun. I know the Nick and Teddy White go, so they're bringing the M2 and the Z06, the new Z06. So that'll be a blast to see.
Wow.
I think he gets a Z06 soon. Oh no, he did get it. Yeah, it's a red one.
And Tyler calls them what? Cannon Fall is one of them.
And then Dust Ball, I think, right?
Okay.
Is that his? I think it is.
But I think he does a nice job as well.
It looks like it's a good event. I mean, he has a lot of loyal people for a reason. I can't speak to, him as a person or what his events are because I haven't done him or met him. Done the events and met him.
Yeah.
I got it because I said that funny. But it is tricky. There's only so many rallies out there that are capable.
So I'm curious about that because, if it's just an expense side of things, I think people, if they enjoy it enough and they see enough value in it, they're more than willing to pay the money and participate.
If they've done it.
Because it's 3 or 4, day adventure. But if what you're saying is true, then what are they migrating to? Because we have a lot of, park and show type events, and that's fine, but you're not actually driving. So a few years ago, I was involved in the Hump Day cruises, and these were midweek or sometimes on the weekend cruises that were just amongst a small group of friends with no expense. And that's what we did recently to either Ozarks or we go to Tail of the Dragon, where you just pay your own way. You get your hotel, you pay for food, some entertainment, and it's significantly less expensive, but obviously it's not as organized as something like what you would put together.
Correct. So that is actually going to be the way I'm going to bring it back. Modified, but yes, that's going to be the gist of it, and it's going to keep the costs low, because one thing I got sick of was people telling me, well, I could put it on. Well, fucking do it then. I can get 10 buddies and do it. And that actually, a lot of people on the Hump Day, when we went down to Tail, they're like, this is a lot cheaper. And it's like, well, great, but it's not an all-inclusive thing. We didn't do a track day. We didn't have, catered dinners. Because, again, rallies, it's not just a buddy vacation. It's, that next level. So it's like trying to find the middle point. So I don't want to do the all-inclusive thing anymore. It's a lot of risk associated with that. But there is a reason for it. But at the same time, I think the way we did it for our Hump Day cruise to Tail, I like that a lot. And we did that with Lumberjack Rally last year too, remember?
Yeah.
So that was basically the same structure. So it was a 2-day thing up to Duluth and back. And one of the days we stayed in Mark's cabin, which, 20 of us fit in there, 15 of us, whatever it was. And then we also, we're just ripping the roads. And it was inexpensive. What, $300 for the weekend? $400 for the weekend? Maybe.
I don't even remember, but it was cheap.
It was cheap. So it can be, I think that is a good structure too.
Yeah, Rob Ferretti has one called Adventure Drives, and they go to different national monuments and points of interest. But I think the key there is there's still spirited driving, but the spirited driving happens where 8 to 10 cars stay together. So whenever we did rallies, like for example Crown, we would get strung out, where you've got the fast guys up at the front, you've got slow guys, conservative guys way in the back, and then you've got a small grouping of maybe 1, 2, 3 cars for the duration of the rally, and that becomes less fun. So the ones we've done to Tail, if we had 6 cars, we're always together. Every stop we're together, and I think that made it very enjoyable because it's easier also to watch out for cops because we're working together as an organized team as opposed to being strung out.
I think we did that well with Venom, and especially with Whiplash, where we, added the point system and just, there's ways to go about it. And actually, we had Blake on the podcast a few weeks ago. He had even more ideas as to how we could go about keeping people together. So one of the ideas he had, because do you know much about Blake's technology? And
Yep, I actually listened to the podcast.
Oh, did you? Okay,
Yeah.
perfect.
Yeah,
So
thank you.
Yeah, you guys are doing fantastic.
we try. But no, the GPS thing that he mentioned in the podcast was basically like, oh, well, you have to be within 500 feet of the camera car or something like that to get X amount of points or XP. And the longer you stay there, the more XP you get over time towards the trophy or whatever. I think that's a great system because if people actually want to be competitive, and of course there's going to be 10% that just don't care. But I think that'd be, if that gets implemented, that would make rallies safer, but more competitive, and people stay together.
Well, we usually also use the share live location through Facebook Messenger.
Yeah,
and
this would
that
be that
allows
on
us to know
steroids.
exactly where we are. Right, that would be on steroids, but built in something that everybody already has on their phone and can use it immediately. I think that's a valuable feature.
You missed that on Venom to Niagara and then Whiplash. What was the app? I think was it Joiner or was the other one?
Joiner.
But it was like that. It was live tracking. You could see
Yeah.
it just like on Facebook Messenger. So that was really cool. And then you could text or whatever. It was the exact same thing.
Yeah.
It's just better than a big freaking Facebook Messenger chat.
Oh, I don't mind. Because usually you always have a co-driver and somebody's looking at the app while the driver's paying attention. to the
Co-driver. I
road.
don't know anything about that. Unfortunately, I didn't have a co-driver.
I
in
think it's
Lumberjack.
critical. You have to have a passenger.
Oh, 100%.
You have another set of eyes. And who's going to feed you that hamburger while you're driving?
Wait, what'd you say?
No, I'm just
No, I
kidding.
didn't hear.
I love having co-driver because I can 100% focus on the road and the
Right.
driving, and if I have like my maps up, he can also have like a different like ways up
Waze.
or like any other
Right.
like traffic navigation, and we can like work together. And I ask him like, I'll pull up the challenges, like what challenges do we still need, and then we're like talking back and forth on how we can like work out these points with the next stop, and yeah, it's just it works out really well.
Right. Just like any good rally car driver, you always have somebody
Yeah,
navigating.
that's what I always think. I'm like,
Yeah.
all right, how are we doing for these next like curves coming up? Like,
Right. And so speaking of curves, that's something we always do anticipate, especially when you're on the back roads and you can't see or if there's foggy conditions. You're able to look ahead by looking at the map and see
Yeah.
if there's a big turn coming up or a sharp left, whatever the case may be.
oh yeah,
So it's absolutely fantastic to have all this different technology, but to have another set of eyes to help you navigate this technology, it's critical.
You know who benefited the most from that was when me and Mo got pulled over in a GTR on Tail to Dragon.
Yeah, I remember.
And I was, I don't know if it was in the video or not, but I was calling out every single turn, and he was ripping it.
Yeah.
I mean, allegedly. But
It didn't cost them very much to do it either.
yeah, okay, I'm telling the story because they can't figure out which Mo I'm talking about. Probably, but
let's
so
see
we,
a Mo with a GTR.
yes, Mo with a GT. Seriously, I have like 6 of them on my freaking Facebook. It's like
that went on Tail the Dragon with you.
listen. It's like I swear every Muhammad on my Facebook has a freaking GTR. It's hilarious. Like it's like you're born to have a GTR. But
It's
anyways,
a pretty popular car.
Yeah, well, you got to be Batman to figure that one out.
well, also Muhammad is like the most common name in the world. So it's like GTR.
How about Boosted Mo? Boosted MPLS Mo.
Yeah, sure. But anyways, no. So we're ripping it, and then right towards the end of the Tail of the Dragon, his radar lights up, and Cop literally, like, it was a scene out of Super Troopers. He comes up and he has that like disappointed smirk on his face, and he's doing the slow walk, just moseying on over. And he gets over there, and I swear, if he had a baton, he would have been doing this. It would have been hilarious. But he comes up to us, and he's like, "So, what you doing, buddy?" Just kind of going crazy. So Mo gets out of the car because I don't know if he asked.
Is that
him
a smart thing to do?
Not on Tail.
Yeah.
I don't know if he got asked or if he stepped out, but either way, he brings him to the back of the car, and they're talking back there, and they're just shooting the shit. Apparently, the guy has family in Minnesota.
And he loves GTRs.
Yeah, yep, exactly. And the great thing was that Mo had a mic right next to where they were talking, so he managed to pick up that whole conversation. But all said and done, because Tail the Dragon is or at least that part of Tail was in a specific county or something, and it ended up being like a $30 ticket.
Yeah, it was not like $30 or $40.
Yeah, and it goes to like the local county, doesn't go on your insurance, nothing like that. And I was sitting there thinking, oh boy, and we're not going to mention what the speed was, but because we don't want people doing it, because obviously Tail, you should not be an idiot. Because actually on my rally, you remember the guy? So we actually had somebody that joined us. It wasn't somebody on our rally, but somebody joined us from Nashville, and the guy whacked a tree stump.
Nice.
Like he fucked up his car.
What kind of car?
Huh?
What kind of car?
340i.
Ah, there you go. That's why.
He was a nice
He was
guy.
right behind me too when it happened.
Yeah, he was a nice guy and all that, and I think he got away with like almost no damage. But yeah, I mean, he was spun out facing the other way.
Yeah, he was able to drive. He was able to limp back home.
Wow, that's
Yeah,
fortunate.
so Kenny and his Gary and Kenny Grayco, who had the GT500, and they've been on many crowns. They actually literally had to get out on the middle of the road, and they're like, "Oh my god, we have to check to see if this guy's okay," because the kid was obviously spooked.
Yeah.
If you were facing the other way all of a sudden. So be safe on Tail, even if the consequences may or may not. Like,
You just drive within your limit.
Right.
Understand that there are other vehicles and motorcyclists come the other way, and we even had guys in ruckuses. And I was surprised, but anyway, they were having a good time. Everybody's having a good time, and they've got all the photographers stationed at all the key.
yeah, they get you in
key
trouble
spots.
too. Did you see that Porsche a few weeks ago?
Yeah.
On Tail the Dragon.
Yeah, don't cross the line. They really care about that line.
They'll rip you a new one. Like, just don't do it.
And then the blue tape all over the bumper. Did you see that part?
Yeah.
Oh my! I was just like, come on, dude. He did everything wrong because it was like a rainy day, spun out. I mean, it's like driving over the yellow line. It's like,
Well, the day we went was wet as well.
dude, Reed was driving, so he was making fun of me on Facebook. He'd pull away on us, but that dude can drive.
Oh yeah.
Well, you got a lot of track
I
experience.
was in
though.
Tony's car. Tony is, I don't know how to like say, but I was definitely gripping onto that old shit handle.
He's got
Watching
the
him.
Porsche.
Yeah, he was in the Porsche Turbo S.
Right.
About 600 wheel, I think it was too.
Tony's pretty experienced too, though. He's got quite a few cars.
Yeah, well, it was my first time riding with him, and going through Tail, I was like, oh my god, I'm just gripping for my life.
Yeah.
But one of the mountains that I wish we would gone to was Blood Mountain.
We did Blood Mountain. It was the other one we missed, Cherhola Skyway.
Okay.
Yeah, we did Blood Mountain, and that was my favorite because it was like, it was high speed, whop, 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 all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, everybody loved that more than Tail even. Just because, like, Tail is slow and intricate.
But I love the levels. You're basically going up and down, left and right. I think the elevation changes really add a whole new dynamic to the experience.
Yeah, we experienced that in the Black Hills on Venom, too. You remember that?
Yeah. Oh, Black Hills is beautiful.
Yeah, I'll have to do that again.
Yeah.
No, speaking of oh shit handles today, so Derek Stinton, who we will have on the podcast here at some point, so he's got like a souped up Z06, but he threw me in the car with somebody else who had a C5 Z06, similar power figures to my car, maybe like 20 horsepower more or whatever. Mm-hmm. But again, a very, very different car. So I jumped in there, and oh my god, when I got to the end of this, by the way, I was gripping for my life in that thing because this guy, he had the serious driver mods. I mean, it was insane how good this guy was. And I got to the end of it, and I thought he was going to say like it was a 600 horsepower car, and he told me it has like 380. I'm like,
Really? And it's built for autocross?
I don't know if it's built specifically for that, but I mean, he was one of the fastest cars of the day. And I was like, dude, this guy is, and it's a manual Z06. And I'm just sitting there thinking to myself, like, okay, there is a big skill difference between this guy who's been doing it forever and myself, and I know what to aim for.
Yeah.
Like, I caught the bug today, dude. And that's why actually one of the things I wanted to talk to you about on the podcast. What's your track experience?
Oh, I've done quite a few autocrosses. A lot of, what do they call it? Just driver days at Brainerd. And I've done a Laguna, all over the place.
Oh, you've driven Laguna?
Yeah.
In what car?
Well, I used to live in Laguna.
Okay.
I used to live in Monterey County.
That's right. Yep.
So I would do track activities all the time. So I've done Ducati racing days, well, driver days, on motorcycle in the S2000. I also used to race competitively on road bikes. So there are road bike races at Laguna.
Okay.
And it's called the Sea Otter Classic. So I've done all kinds of stuff there. But yeah, it's a wonderful track. It's everything they say it is.
Okay, I didn't know that you competitively raced bikes.
Yeah.
When you said Ducati.
Yeah, and I didn't race on the Ducati though. That was just a rider day. But I lived close enough to the track that I would be able to hear the events there.
Wow.
And it was wonderful because the sounds were bouncing off the hills and into the house. So I'm like, I'm totally okay with that.
And it's so sad that we are losing that. Like, we're losing drag strips all over the country because of that, unfortunately, because people don't want to live near tracks.
Well, Laguna Seca, they're known for their crazy mufflers that they have to install on some of the cars.
In one of the turns, right. But people know what turn it is, and you kind of just let off a little bit.
Oh.
But they've got the mic set up. People are aware.
We had that issue on Whiplash, actually. So we had 2 or 3 cars flagged for that because they told us, like, hey, we're going to kick you out or fine you or whatever.
Yeah.
If the cars are too loud in certain areas.
Yeah.
So in this instance, it was most of the track. So some of the louder cars, like some of the Mustangs, and I think Ross's Supra as well, got flagged. But that's pretty freaking sweet. I remember you telling me that you like the NSX more than the 458 on the track at some point too.
Without a doubt, 100%. It's got all the driver aids that you could ever ask for, all-wheel drive, electric motors. It's a very safe vehicle. You feel you're in control 100% of the time.
It's like on rails, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. It's fantastic. So even here, if we go on cruises during wet weather months, the days are a bit colder, I always take the NSX because that's a confidence booster. The 458, I would say, is kind of like, what is the Porsche GT? Is the Widowmaker? It has the potential to be a Widowmaker.
Okay.
Cold tires, rear-wheel drive, inexperience at the wheel. Those are just horrible combinations. And definitely a fair weather car if you drive a 458, in my opinion.
Milady.
Maybe because I'm not a very good driver, but but it's absolutely it's a thrill. It's like riding on the edge all the time.
How few people would even think about driving a 458 in the rain. So the fact that you're even considering it, you're already in the top 5% of 458 drivers.
So
Well, people try.
I don't get the whole stigma when I see like on an ad, never driven in the snow or rain. Like, what's wrong with the rain? Is it acid rain? Like, where'd you drive this thing? and like, I get like, yeah, you don't want to drive in the rain because, if you get on it or, your tires aren't up to spec, you could lose traction, but like, the rain's not hurting the car at all.
Rain's not going to hurt the car unless here in Minnesota, for example, if it's the first rain and there's still salt on the road, you don't want that.
That's reasonable
in all your crevices, then that's fine, completely understandable. But no, I mean most of the guys that I know that own Ferraris, they don't mind driving in the rain. You just don't want a torrential pour, or you don't want a situation where we would come back from Iowa and there was actually hail.
Yeah.
Right. So it's rain that turns into hail that goes right back into rain. These are conditions you can't control, and you don't know how quickly you'll be able to find a gas station.
Yeah.
So that, I think, is a valid point as to why you may want to reconsider driving in the rain.
Yeah, but I'm seeing these points for like pros never driven in the snow or rain for like Challengers and Mustangs, and I'm like, okay, like there's no way anybody's worrying about that. Like, sure, the snow's like you don't want to deal with the salt, rust, that kind of stuff, but like seriously, the rain's not an issue.
I think it's an old wives' tale, probably. That's hopefully gonna die off.
I don't know. Driving a high horsepower Challenger in the snow, I don't know if that's a good idea.
Well, I mean, the rain aspect, the snow, not a good idea.
Yeah.
But
I drove a Hellcat Durango in the snow. I was perfectly fine.
Whatever.
Well, maybe you're just a good driver. I don't know.
I got the tires for it, so.
There's a lot of young guys driving these cars nowadays, and so even the sideshows and all that stuff. So I don't know if they have the most wisdom available or needed.
I love those videos.
In those conditions.
I hate those videos.
No, I love it when they get fucking smacked. I love it.
literally the worst thing that can happen.
Darwin Awards, man. I freaking love it. Like, did you see the guy that got set on fire like a week ago? Or not, I don't know if it was a week ago, but
there was a couple of guys actually.
yeah, like they'll be doing like they'll throw gas around, just to make the to make it a movie or whatever, and then all of a sudden somebody gets too close or whether it's the person or the car, somehow they meet.
I have very little sympathy for that.
I have no sympathy at all because they know what they're signing up for. And you know what? If they're like one of those people that's going to be like, all right, I fucked up, I get it. That's great. You took ownership. But I can't imagine many people are.
I may be in the minority, but I think it's a pretty fun spectacle to watch. I don't know if I would ever want to be there while it happens. But, you recall in downtown Minneapolis, they would do the sideshows and then light off fireworks and perhaps even guns. I mean, it can get quite dangerous. But I enjoy watching it. I just don't enjoy the illegal aspect of it, right? So if it was in a controlled environment, for example, proving grounds, they have a quarantined area for people to, drift and do all kinds of fun stuff.
They got a whole burnout box.
Right.
Well, there's a problem with that. So I don't know if you saw this article a month or two ago. So it was actually an event like Proving Grounds. I think it was in Ohio or something, somewhere out east, I believe it was. And there was a burnout box. So people were having safe fun. And then several cars came in there and they started a full-blown takeover. Mm-hmm. So they literally had to shut down the event. And, it was just this whole mess. So it's like, I'm all for that. And again, the spectacle, I don't think those things are fun to watch until somebody gets hit. That's when I start enjoying it. But it's like, even when you have a controlled environment like that, people will come and ruin it. And it was a bummer. I shared it a few months ago. I'd have to find where it was, but it was a real bummer because it ruined everybody's track days and the burnout box and all that.
So that's no different than when we had all of these car shows and people were doing the burnouts when they're taking off or leaving a car show. Mm-hmm. And so then it perhaps would put the show in jeopardy. Right. And so then obviously that's not any fun. But if there were controlled areas where they can do that legitimately and have an audience to watch them, I think that would be a lot of fun. Because that's part of why they're doing it, right? They want the I'm the it factor.
The smoke show. They
right.
I want my V6 Charger to get all the clout.
So
my G35.
I'm sure there will be a happy middle in there somewhere. But as some of these rallies are starting to go away, there's going to be a need for other outlets in the car community.
Well, there's going to be a new Crown Rally. Somebody's going to come in and fill that space. And I know people have approached Harris and been like, how much would it cost for me to invest in a new rally? Mm-hmm. And then you just don't want to be that guy that has to, you use somebody else's money to fund this.
Well, I don't mind that.
There's no reason with nothing wrong with OPM.
Oh, I mean, there's nothing wrong with borrowing money, but I just feel like you said...
No, the term. So here's what the terms were. So I won't say who it was, but somebody reached out to me and they're like, hey, I'll finance everything. I'll take over all the legality, everything. You just run it.
Yeah.
And I'm like... And I did consider. I stopped for... I had this whole text filled out and I'm like, delete. Let me think on this. I thought on it for, I think, a few hours or a day or whatever it was. And the only reason that I wouldn't do it is because right now I'm fully invested in monoxide and growing this. And because I strongly believe in growing what we have here, me and Sean here especially, where this will be in the next 3 months or the next year, it's going to set me up to run the best rally ever. And I do have full intentions of coming back at some point, whether that's in the next 2 years or whatever. I have full intentions on running the best rally this world has ever seen. Whether that actually ends up being the case, we don't know, but that's what my intention is going to be. And
you're talking about the rally from the last episode, aren't you?
No. But actually, that's somewhere on the agenda. Did you hear this episode or no?
No.
Oh my God, he went on a rant.
Well, I had to take over because you and Derek were a little tired that day, so I was like, all right, I had a little energy left. Basically, the overall rant was like, I want to run a 50-state rally where basically you jump on at any point, and It's a whole thing. It's a whole rant. Listen to episode whatever it was
18.
with Nightfall. Yeah, 18 was it? Okay.
And something like this doesn't currently exist?
You'd have to be psychotic to do it.
Is there a demand for it?
People who go RVing, camping,
Yeah.
they do all 50 states all the time. Like that's a common thing for RV campers to hit every state, stay in it, or go to the national monument there. But for like a car rally, I've never heard.
So
of something like
the
that.
idea is this, right? And for those that have heard it, I'm sorry, but basically what it was is, let's say
2 minutes, 2 minute max.
Okay,
All
2 minute
right.
max. All right. So let's say 50 state rally. Let's say we start in Minnesota. Okay. So let's say we have 10 people from here, and we all start in Minnesota. Those people go to Chicago. Some of them might continue going on to, let's say, Atlanta. Some of them will jump on. Let's say some people from Wisconsin will jump in. So it's like you can build your own rally, kind of. So Sean might do 3 days. I might do 6. You might do 25 if you really are on a sabbatical. And we had people from different states jumping in at different points and leaving at different points. Because that's a big problem with rallies. Like, well, I will go to this point, but I don't want to go to the next. So you could do a 1-day rally if you even wanted to.
Right. You just pick up wherever it's convenient.
Correct. And the idea behind this is the only way I would do something like that is A, if I'm retired, and B, if somebody with serious funding came behind. And the other thing is I would want to make it a TV show. So something like, an Amazon series or something.
Yeah. So you would have to put together a team, and you don't have to assume that you are working in the business. You can leverage and hire other people who are subject matter experts in it, and you basically just lead from the top.
Correct. Yep. And there's so many different ways I can go about it. And, and that's where growing monoxide comes in, because if I have a large following, then I could get volunteers from all these other states too. That, again, things to make running the actual rally thing easy. Because I love doing rallies. I just hated, I wouldn't even say hated. It just got exhausting doing everything.
Right.
And people offered to help, but at the end of the day, when it's time to put your money where your mouth is, it's a very different story, unfortunately.
That's why I would prefer to hire. Forget the volunteers. The volunteers can be a part of it if they wish, but they're not 100% committed. You have somebody who's a paid employee, and they're going to make it happen.
I can't remember what the number was that I said in in that episode. I think I was like, it would have to be a really big budget, because I would also want to do weekly festivals. So if it's across 50 states, at each state, or not each state, but for every weekend, wherever we stop, and those that are a part of the rally, we'd want to do a festival.
Yeah.
So that would be, big music concerts, track days.
Oh my goodness.
You see what I'm saying? So you'd have to be
There's a lot of-
psychotic.
I would be tired.
Yeah, dude, that's
After
what
2
I was
weeks-
thinking. He just kept on going and going. Like, I'm shaking my head. Like,
Yeah.
no, Harris.
It's possible.
We'll do a segment. I don't know if I can do the all 50.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So
Yeah.
that's where you build your own rally. You'd sign up and you'd be like, all right, cool. Let's build it around this festival, and we'll go over there. And then we'll have freaking, I don't know, one of them will be an EDM one will be I don't know. I don't care.
I think
All right,
they
I
had
think your 2 minutes are up.
Yeah, but they had something like that where Alex Choi was like the signature participant, and so wherever they went, you could figure out where he was, and then you can kind of tag along. But I want to say there was something similar to that, but just not to the extent of a 50 state.
Yes, you'd have to be psychotic to do this. And if anybody has $1 million and has a contact at Amazon, let's rock. But yeah, sorry to everybody who heard that
Jeffy
rant
B,
before.
if you're listening, hit us up.
Jeffy B is fucking off on a big old boat, tearing down bridges right now. So
Hey, you never know what he's doing with his downtime. He could be listening to podcasts at random, just picking up random knowledge from here and there, and then all of a sudden, monoxide comes on.
oh man, yeah, that takes a lot of energy to think about that, even the logistics of that. Because again, I know that I could run a rally. It's just that I didn't have the team and the supporting thing. I ran into it too fast, and I've talked about it a million times. Like, again, if I just took my time and front-loaded some work, Whiplash would still be a thing today. But I'm kind of glad it isn't, because I took those mistakes, and now I know. Well, first of all, I was starting to work my way towards being like Crown, which was against everything I wouldn't say everything that I stood for, but I didn't want to copy. That was the other thing, and I was starting to get close to that, or try to, so. We'll see what the next chapter in that regard holds, but I mean, I could talk rallies all day long because I've done it for so long.
Well, Harris, plan the work and then work the plan. Make it happen. There's nothing to say that you couldn't make this thing happen in 5 to 10 years.
Oh, I'm thinking 3 or 4.
All right. Well,
Yeah.
sign me up, because I'll be a part of it.
Wait, which leg? What's your leg? What are you thinking?
The closer leg. I don't know. Actually, I'd love to be able to hit historical monuments.
What about this? What if you, so let's say you did Minnesota to Chicago, then you just go home, and then 3 weeks later, when we're on another leg, you could just ship your car out and finish up the Monterey leg, for example. Finish at the Monterey Car Show.
I would love that.
It's an
I'll be at
example.
Monterey Car Week this year. It's in August, I believe.
I'm thinking about going. I've always
Is
wanted
it
to go
the
to
same
Monterey.
weekend as Power Cruise?
I don't know.
Okay, because I'm gonna go to Power Cruise this year. My
Yeah.
first time going to Power Cruise, and it's been hosted here in Minnesota for however long.
Is that the one where AJ and Coy had the incident?
Yes.
Okay. Because that was just on YouTube. And so it was a fantastic piece. It's like an hour.
1320 did a
Right.
recap of that whole story.
I think it was actually very well done. And towards the end, when AJ came on and started talking about his experience and getting tearful, I mean, it was a very authentic interview.
What is this? Can you
It's
explain?
on YouTube. The Alex Choi, or no, not Alex Choi.
No. Coy.
The Coy, his Darth Vader Lamborghini.
Is this the one that crashed?
Caught on fire.
Yeah.
Right. Right. Basically went into the wall at Brainerd at that event. He got knocked unconscious. The
Correct, yep.
car caught
I
on
know
fire.
that bit.
AJ pulled him out of the vehicle and helped save his life. And AJ in turn was burnt, good part of his body, his arms, head. And so he had a lot of trauma from that as well, dealing with it, the aftermath. But they've come away as a stronger, friendship. They'll probably be bros for life. And they actually, Coy still has the vehicle. I guess it is home in, where is he at, Nevada or
Arizona, I think.
Arizona, yeah.
Oh
So it's just a keepsake now, but it's a memory of the experience that they went through together. But yeah, I think AJ, he interviewed very, very well. He did a nice job.
All right, I gotta watch that then because I saw that come up on my feed and I was like, oh, I don't know if I have an hour to like sit down and watch this, but now I really want to watch it.
Yeah, they even replayed several times of in-cabin video of it happening.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Unfortunately, the camera fell, so you don't get to see everything about it.
Yeah.
But there were quite a few people there that day that did record it.
Yeah. No,
And-
I remember when that happened. It was like everywhere on Facebook.
Yeah.
Just because of like the wrap on it, it was a Lamborghini.
It was a known car, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it was built.
And it was built. Was it like 1,000 horsepower?
1600,
Yeah,
I
well,
believe
it
it
was.
was.
Way more than that. Okay.
Yeah, so it was a UGR built one. I think it was 1600, I believe.
That was quite a day. And with the
Were
local
you
thing.
there for that?
I was not.
Okay.
No, I tend to avoid those because I heard that it can get a little bit rough. For example, in the evenings, because I would like to bring my son, and I don't know if that's the best environment for a young kid. So
Oh no, I think it's the nighttime that you.
that's what I'm talking about, right at night.
careful.
But
Yeah.
we would be camping or hanging out there. I just want to make sure it's an environment that's family friendly.
It's definitely not. from what I've seen from people posting online,
Yeah.
the nightlife is crazy.
But that's part of the appeal.
It is, yeah. It's cars racing, and you line up with people, and part of the proving grounds is you drive down the drag strip, and that's like you got that nice long half mile straight essentially because they got all that extra runway.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's the appeal for it. And then they have all the campground spots, so you want to get signed up and be on the grounds because that's where all the party's at.
Right. Yeah. The only thing I would like, the bathroom facilities are a little under par, and I don't.
What do you think? They got showers.
Oh God, it's terrible.
You want to shit in a shower?
Shit in a shower? No, they have porta
Been there,
potties for
done
that. And plus, I have a RV that I could.
Oh, you can
bring.
glamp it. There we go.
Yeah, glamping. dude.
Yeah, that's the way to go.
Yeah.
You have your own private bathroom and shower.
Ooh, okay. And we can close on this depending on how much time you have here. But so today, I was up at the Medina Motorplex, and Dustin because you drove a Supra, but he has that van, that Toyota van, like the '80s van. And I checked that thing out. I sat in it. I mean, have you seen what van I'm talking about?
Yeah. He's the Toyota nut.
Yeah, yep, exactly. So I was talking to him, and this is a consideration in my dumb brain. Me and Sean going half and half on that thing and turning it into a podcast studio, like a mobile podcast studio, because the rear seats swivel.
You
Oh,
could
it's got
probably
captain chairs like that?
soundproof
Yeah.
the whole thing. Or a Sprinter van.
No,
Those are pretty big.
That's great, but this is cheap and it looks awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all carpeted. It's blue. It looks so
The
cozy.
blue carpets with the white van. I mean, okay, what the heck do you even call it? Are you even able to Google it? I forgot what it's called.
I have no idea, dude.
Look up like 1980s Toyota van. Let's see what happens. It was called like the Rover, NASA, whatever the heck. Like they had all these nicknames. Like this thing's. Oh yeah, look at those Bozuzoku exhausts and those Porsches. Toyota van, like 1980. Sure. This thing.
Yeah,
This
that used to be a
huge lip?
transformer. There was a transformer based off of that one. It was like an ambulance.
So it's like, yeah, and his is rust free. He got it from Utah.
Nice.
Yo, this one's right-hand drive too. Was that one for sale? Also right-hand drive?
No, it was left. So you want to be the one driving it?
What?
That thing's a freaking death trap, dude. When I looked at the doors, they're so thin.
So you're gonna have 3 people in that doing an interview.
In the back seat, yeah, with the captain chair.
Okay.
It would be a little. It wouldn't be too cramped, but my big ass, it definitely would be.
Wow, these terrible photos.
Those are terrible photos, yeah. So I mean, the more I think it I don't know. We are some big people, I guess, nowadays.
No, I'm not buying this van with you. This is terrible.
That's why I'm saying the Sprinter van, you can stand in it.
Yeah, the Sprinter van would be way
And it's a
cooler.
toy hauler. Right? It's a multi-purpose.
Yeah, and I could actually use that for the family. There's no way I could get Kaylee and my baby in there. She'd be like,
You wouldn't want to.
You bought another death trap?
No, it's cool, and pulling up would be cool, but I am a little big for it. Like, you guys would fit in it fine, but I barely had to work my way into the the seat. So
Yeah, that's a 1980s Toyota. That was meant for the economy size gentleman for back in the day.
Gentlemen, it's made for pint size.
That excludes
people.
you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm a big boy. I had a modest 240, 6'4". So
Hey, but you're slimming down and bulking up, right?
dude, I'm wider than I used to be because and tooting my own horn here, my lats are like wider. So even though I'm not, my fattest was like 3 years ago, right? And that was before I had any muscle really.
Pre-COVID.
Yeah. Yes. Pre-COVID. Yeah. Pre-COVID, I was a tubby tub. So I'm the same weight I was back then, but I mean it's completely different. Like I got veins in my arms and all that. And veins elsewhere. But yeah.
That's too much information, Harris.
That's fine. But
That's
yeah.
what you get when you talk to Harris, though.
I don't think you
You
understand.
get too much information all the time.
This is only just the tip. I don't know what to tell you. No, I can barely fit in his freaking race seats downstairs that he bought for the Jeep however long ago. Like I have to squeeze in there, and I'm
What
stuck.
kind of race seats?
Cobra Motorsports.
Oh, nice.
And they're not the GT, so they're the slim for the slim racer.
Little guys like Sean.
Yeah, no, I don't even fit them anymore. I bought those pre-COVID too. I used to fit in them, and then I got like 2 more inches in my waist, and then it was like, these hips don't fit anymore.
Those hips don't lie either, big boy.
You either have to slim down or you got to sell them.
I gotta sell them.
Okay.
Yeah, it's rough, man. So this actually didn't go in any particular direction I was gonna think this podcast. I mean, is there anything that you want to talk while you're on here about?
No, we hit on a lot of topics.
A lot of different topics. Yeah.
Just a smorgasbord.
What's the future for Gitlow?
The future for Gitlow. Well, this year we're gonna do a few more of the hump day cruises, but rather than doing them on Wednesdays, we're gonna do them on Sunday.
I thought we'd set it on Saturday.
Sunday.
Was it Sunday? I mean, either way, a weekend's so much better because I'm employed now.
Yeah, we're gonna do them on Sunday. So these will just be fun drives.
Okay.
And they'll be spirited drives, but they'll be organized. We'll stay together, of course. Usually they'll start Sunday mornings, and then we'll go for lunch, and then break off so that we still have the rest of the day with our families. So it's a nice way for us to stay connected. A lot of the car shows are on Saturdays, so it actually works out well.
It's great. Yeah, you know who I'm actually doing a similar cruise with 2 weeks from now is John with the Cobra.
Yeah.
So I'll be joining him.
right.
It's going to be like a private Cobra cruise. So
Right.
that'll be a fun one to shoot. So
That should be a ton of fun. So I wanted to do that. I looked at the date. Unfortunately, I'm going to be in Monaco. So for the
Monaco?
F1.
Oh, you're going to Monaco?
Yep.
Really? I didn't. That's
Ooh.
So that one's going to be pretty unique. And so I understand that I'm going to miss John's cruise, but hopefully they'll have another cruise in
Who's
the
John?
future. John. Yeah.
yeah, Monaco.
Cobra John.
Dude, that's going to be freaking awesome.
So this was a unique opportunity through the Ferrari Club of Minnesota.
Okay.
Where they had an organized event going to a Ferrari tour, Lamborghini tour, Pagani tour, Ducati tour, the Ducati Museum, and then ending the tour with a 2-day event at F1 Monaco.
Wow.
So it should be pretty special. It was one of those bucket list things where you just have to do it. But the fact that we're visiting Pagani,
Yeah.
I think that's going to be amazing. Unfortunately, going into Ferrari, you're not allowed to bring your camera. So I'm not going to be able to share much footage from that, except from the outside. So that kind of sucks.
Who cares about Ferrari? You're gonna go see Pagani, Ducati, Lamborghini.
So Harris, I can put an order for you if you
Monaco.
want at the Pagani factory. Just
Not
let me
with
know.
these interest
Let me know
rates.
your specs.
My spec. Oh man, could I get like a tire or something? I don't know if I could afford the whole
No.
thing.
Actually, you probably trade your Volkswagen for one.
Is my Volkswagen a nice down payment for a Pagani?
Oh, for a rotor,
For a rotor.
for a carbon fiber.
That's
rotor.
gonna be an amazing experience. Yeah, whatever. I'd love to see whatever you can get from that. When is that again?
I leave on the 20th. So we leave on the 20th and return on the 29th.
Wow. Okay, that's gonna be a heck of an experience.
And I'm hoping that there'll be unique F1 Monaco swag. that we can purchase that's specific to that location, because F1 Miami, they had like a Miami themed with pink and light blue.
Right.
Yeah, Vice City.
Who's your team?
Stuff like that. Who's my team?
Yeah. Do you have any
I don't
team
have
in
a
particular?
specific team. No.
Drivers?
No, not in
F1
particular.
You don't pick a team. It's not American
Yeah. So
football.
any drivers you're picking that you like, you can pick a team.
No. I don't follow F1 that closely, but what I really want to experience is the sound of an F1 machine in person, because you hear it on YouTube and it
They're
sounds
phenomenal.
glorious, but to hear it actually in person, and of course I'm going to be recording a lot of this footage and sharing it over at Gitlow Media, but I'm not looking forward to the E race, because I've heard that and I know it's going to be horrible, but it'll still be interesting to watch, but not necessarily to listen to.
Those 6 cylinders actually don't sound too bad. I mean, again, we're not into peak V10 era, but it still sounds pretty sweet seeing or hearing those cars go around a track. Because I was at Miami last year, and it was phenomenal.
Yeah.
Yeah, what do they rip around at like 12K RPM?
Oh, I think
Screaming.
so. I don't know. It's up there.
Yeah.
So that's gonna be a pretty sweet event.
Yeah, it's a once in a lifetime experience. My wife and I were in Monaco earlier last year, and what a glorious place! Absolutely beautiful. And to imagine that they're going to have F1 cars running on these streets is heaven.
It's nuts. Yeah.
Oh wait, is Monaco the city streets are really tiny, and so it's actually like really hard for passing?
The cars are just too big because the E cars they're able to go around.
The F1 cars are just too big for the streets because
They're huge in person.
They use the streets down there, and they're tiny because they're made for little European cars.
Right.
And from what I've heard, it's actually one of the like more boring races because there's not as much passing.
But it's so historical.
But the scenery and the fact that you're
Oh,
right
it's
by
gonna
the
be
ocean,
gorgeous. Yeah.
wow, it's going to be fantastic. It's going to be unique. But they'll have the F1 Vegas later this year as well.
I have a buddy that's going to be going to that. I'm going to see if I could swindle my way into going to that one. We'll see where I'm at.
I can't wait to see the menu prices in Vegas.
Or Monaco.
Monaco.
I'm going to take a
like
photo of the menu card. I'll send it back
You'll
to you.
get blown up. You'll get all the likes, upvotes on Reddit, everywhere.
Well, the point is not to go hungry, but not to spend a fortune on food either.
No.
Right? I'm there for the experience, but my goodness, that was over the top.
Yeah, we were a little over the top in Houston, but I mean, that was worth it.
What was in? What
Remember that steakhouse we went to? I mean, that was probably one of the bigger bills I've
come
gotten.
on. That was okay.
Unbelievable. It was twice what I paid at Ruth Chris. Let's put it that way.
So we're talking about $100 steaks.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it was worth it, though. I mean, Texas does it right. But, no, and I think you don't have a team because you probably had a team and they just let you down like they did. Because I was a Ferrari guy, and I still am. I love Leclerc and Sainz. But, man, it's tough right now to be a Ferrari fan.
Well, we have to root for Ferrari by default because the entire organization is heading over there. So it's going to be fun. And I don't know if they're going to allow us any special access, but we'll keep my fingers crossed. And if they allow us into the pits, that's going to be a lifetime experience right there too.
I'm excited. That's going to be awesome.
Yeah.
Make sure to wear your McLaren merch.
Yeah.
The new Williams.
The orange ones. Is it orange in color?
The what? The McLaren?
Yeah.
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 Yep.
I saw some of the swag online. Yeah, it's pretty spendy as well. The merch.
Oh yeah, no, you're telling me. Especially in person, I actually bought 2 shirts there. I think maybe 3. No, 2. And I mean, it was like $60 or $80 for a shirt, a T-shirt. And by the way, mind you, the quality is garbage. It's one of the worst shirts I've had. Well, for Ferrari, the McLaren merch is very comfortable, according to Eric.
Okay.
I've worn it. It's phenomenal. Ferrari, whatever the hell they're doing with their merch. Hopefully, it's better now. But it don't feel right.
Well, they had a collaboration with Puma, so I don't know if it's a Puma-based material.
Whatever it was, it makes me want to burn it, but I still have it because it's expensive.
Oh. Well, that's unfortunate.
Hopefully it's better now, but yeah, the McLaren merch is really nice and soft. It was like Gitlow made it.
I would love to see Ferrari partner with a very high-end manufacturer, so like Hugo Boss or whoever, right? But I want to see the quality of the merchandise go way up. Unfortunately, I think
Hanes.
the partnership with Puma it made it more accessible, but I don't know. I want
Accessible?
I want exclusivity.
I was about to say it wasn't very accessible to my wallet, man. I think it was like, again, it was like $80 for a T-shirt.
Yeah.
And I think it was like 130 or 40 for a hoodie.
And I wouldn't be opposed to it if the quality was great.
Exactly. It was a bummer, but I don't know. I could rant about that too for a while. But should we close out with the usual 3 questions?
Yeah, I think you've listened to the podcast, so you kind of know
Are you prepared?
what
No.
this. Yeah, so you got to pick 3 cars. One of them is going to be your daily. One of them is going to be your show car. Other one's going to be your track car.
Oh, okay. Well, that's not too bad. Well, daily, surprisingly, would still be a Tesla.
That's what you currently drive.
That's what I currently drive. So
And what model is
it's
it?
a Model 3P, Model 3
3
Performance, and it's absolutely wonderful. I mean, obviously, everybody's quite well aware of what the benefits are, but you can just get in and go. You never have to worry about fueling up, and the power is amazing, and it's just easy to get from point A to point B with a family.
It does the job. No, and I test drove it when you got it. I mean, that thing, it's a great car. And for a daily, you can't knock a Tesla for a daily.
Well, in honesty, it's probably just as fast as my other cars, but I don't get as much joy driving it fast. So normally I actually don't even drive it at full tilt. I mean, it's probably half speed, right? Because I've got passengers, I've got little ones in there, so there's no point in driving too spirited. But as a weekend car, it's terrible because there's no fun factor. It's like driving a toaster. It does the job extremely well, but it's not exciting.
I love that. A toaster. That is pretty accurate.
Yeah,
I think I saw that on a SpongeBob episode somewhere.
So for the ultimate dream car, it would be a LaFerrari.
That's your show car?
Ultimate show car.
Show or track?
And it would absolutely be a show car.
There's no way it's track.
Because one, it would be too expensive to track. Two, and this is my fear of actually ever owning a LaFerrari, is that I would never want to drive it. I wouldn't take it on a hump day cruise. I wouldn't take it to a local car show because I don't need fingerprints or coffee stains. I don't need any of that stuff on it. So
Which you've had both of those.
right, but the reality is, how much enjoyment would you have sharing that experience with others? Extremely limited. It would probably just remain parked and be a showpiece, just a garage queen.
Yeah.
So there's good and bads to that. The good, of course, is probably a great investment because the value will hold well, or it'll appreciate in value. So it's a different class, right? Different type of vehicle. Oh, a track car. I don't know. I think the NSX currently that I have, or any type of hybrid car, would be an amazing one. I would think a P1 would be amazing because the P1's also hybrid. But the hybrid cars are
Doesn't have to be a stock, by the way. That we've had a lot of people do Build-A-Bear on the show.
Yeah, like custom builds. Like they took, race car chassis and then put Judd V10s into them.
That was Dave, I think, right?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
that
that's
guy.
probably one of the best. I mean, he's just so knowledgeable, and he's got a lot of track time, so he definitely knows like what his dream track build would be. And he also threw in a truck and trailer because it's not street legal.
Yeah. So
Well, then how about this as a track car? If money were no expense, it would be a Singer built 911.
Oh, there you go.
Okay.
Damn, because it's fully track capable, but it's got a lot of the modern tech, and I'm a big fan of resto mods. Right, taking the best of breeds, where you had beautiful analog type driving ability for the older vehicles, but with modern features to make it safer and make that driving experience more accessible.
Yeah, that would be a perfect car for the Goodwill, or not Goodwill, that
The
British, where they have like the hill climb. What is that called?
Oh, Goodwood.
Goodwood.
Goodwill.
Oh, so close.
That's right.
Goodwood. They showcase some of like the coolest, craziest cars, and I think a Porsche Singer would fit very well into there.
Oh, that's just rolling art.
Yeah, exactly.
The LaFerrari is rolling art as well, but in a different way. But yeah, I'd love to see more manufacturers come into this whole resto mod bit, because you're taking the best of, like I said, the best of breeds, right? And unfortunately, now that we're moving into the e-cars, that may only be the only option, right? You're going to have to repurpose some of the older ones and make them new again in order to keep them on the road, because they're not going to sell you any gas-powered vehicles anymore. Well, if the government has their way, right? But I'm not saying there's not a good place for e-cars. E-cars absolutely have a place. But in my opinion, Monday through Friday is the best place for it.
I like it. That's a good way of putting it.
Yeah.
It got me thinking about. So one of my dream bucket list things is to go to Goodwood and Silverstone in the same week, because again, they're within a week. I mean, they're like 3 or 4 hours apart from each other in the UK, or I guess Great Britain, whatever. We don't have listeners over there. I don't care if I make them angry. But it's crazy. It'd be awesome to do go. I think it's Goodwood first, and then road trip to Silverstone. I mean, imagine that. That'd be amazing. I mean, Goodwood is just a bucket list item. You haven't been yet, have you?
No. But if you're over there, you might as well also do the Isle of Man TT.
Oh, that'd be
Ooh, yeah.
awesome.
Well, not do it. You would actually just be a spectator. I don't want you to do it because you'll probably die. But
With the way I was driving today at autocross, yes, I'd be dead.
you're only going to kill a few cones.
Yeah, no, one of those banks. I was like, it was a really sweet track we did today, and I was like, oh, that tree's really close because there's not a lot of runoff area. So I'm just like, oh, okay.
You should leave a link in the description so people can join up on the autocrosses, the future ones at Morgan's Motorplex.
What? So my tickets could be more expensive? No.
Why
I'm
would
kidding,
you
I'm
make it more
kidding, I'm kidding.
expensive?
No, Morgan's Motorplex. They run a phenomenal event, and one of the big turnoffs when Sean went to go do autocross was, he had to work for an hour and a half, and I get it. It's not that
That
bad.
wasn't my turn off. That's your turn off. You're allergic to work.
Dude, like 7 people I talked to today at autocross were like, yeah, I don't want to work. I want to just do my 30
We need
minutes.
turn marshals.
You know what I did for work? I stood
In the
on
cold.
the track. It was cold because it was one of the first events of the year.
And it's going to be
at-
hot in 2 months.
at Canterbury, and I just stood there. And if somebody hit a cone, I ran out, picked it up, put
That's
it back
right.
into the marked box.
That's right.
And then I went back into my safety area.
Easy peasy.
And then if you don't do it, or let's say you are, I don't know, hungry, or I got to take a piss or a shit or whatever, then it's like, oh, well, I'm sure there's some exceptions, but it's like you're banned.
I had to do it once for 1 hour, and then it was my turn to drive, and then I could leave whenever I wanted after that.
Yeah, that's worth it. That's a
Or
good
I
deal.
could pay 20
And
bucks
it was
more.
it was 40 bucks.
Yeah, or pay 20 bucks more and
No,
just
30 bucks.
okay, 30 bucks more, and then everything's covered, and I can leave whenever.
Or you can do
This is a big
DCTC and never have to volunteer at all.
That's my point. I'd rather just I'm in that camp. I'm in a don't work on a weekend camp.
Yeah.
His knees hurt on cold days.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, you're in the body transformation challenge. I'm like a Great Dane. Everything's broken.
You gotta work out within your limits.
And there were other jobs too. He didn't have to do the cone running job. There were easier jobs I'm sure he
about
could apply
check-in?
for. Yeah.
Tech inspection? Tech check?
I don't think he could do tech inspection.
Oh,
He
okay.
doesn't even know what to look for. I had to teach him how to change wheels on a car.
4 years ago.
Yeah. Well, now you know.
Also, that's because I didn't have the core strength to lift the fucking wheel.
That's a valuable skill, and they don't teach that in school.
Yeah.
How to change a tire.
I know. I was so
Yeah.
surprised. I was changing tires on the Jeep, and then he comes over, and I'm like, "All right, come here, help me." He's like, "I don't know how to help you here, dude." I'm like, "Are you kidding?" And then I'm like, "All right, get over here. I'm gonna teach you how to change a tire. You're gonna be a man today." He's
You
like,
know,
"Oh,
it's-
my hands are dirty."
It sounds basic enough, but just to offer some of these basic workshops for people, for the car community at large, how to change a wheel. And people
Correct,
may
yeah.
laugh, but you shouldn't laugh because there's probably a good number of people who don't know. Same thing, for example, how to drive a manual. Anybody want to come learn? We're going to teach you that day, and we'll have a couple of cars. How fun would that be?
So we have somebody in the car community actually doing some. I don't know if she's still doing it, but we actually had her on the podcast, Emily Protzner or whatever. So she's doing that for women in the car community. She's putting together these like workshops and events. Like, hey, let's get together, let's shoot the shit, and let's teach each other how to work on these cars.
Right.
So there is validity to that, and again, you don't know what you don't know. Like there's
No shame in it.
Well, there shouldn't be. I mean, if people shame it, then you're around the wrong people. Like if I gave my camera to Sean and said, "Hey, give me a perfect fucking panning shot of me doing over here, like ripping down autocross your first try," good luck.
I could attempt it. I have some practice behind a camera, so.
Right, but if I told somebody like get it exactly this way, one shot, like again, it's like
It's
it's
true.
simple. It's click a button, follow. But it's like there's a level of knowledge and skill and practice. So
Yeah.
in every aspect of life, many photos are a poor example, but
Yeah, no, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to diss you on the whole tire
no,
thing.
diss me. I'm a fucking idiot. I don't know how to work on my car. And today, like that's one of my worries with autocross. Is like if something goes wrong, I am stuck.
I mean, I also taught him how to change the oil on his car.
He's a great teacher.
Very
And,
nice.
yeah,
He taught me how
I'm-
to drive manual too.
Yeah, I've taught him how to drive manual. I've taught a lot of my friends
the
how to
Z?
drive it in the Z3, and then also in my Challenger, in the 1M,
Oh, yeah.
whatever. Like,
Wow, what a friend.
yeah,
That's great.
I'm pretty good at it. I mean, like these cars, they can handle the abuse. I mean, as long as you're not like flooring it and grinding the clutch, then there's no issue.
Yeah.
If you stall it every once in a while, it's not gonna hurt. So I'm totally capable of doing it for friends. But if you want to learn how to drive manual, you can pay me. It's that simple.
Yeah, I actually no. People should feel free to message you. It'd be a cool experience.
Oh yeah, definitely. Well, I need a new like trainer car because now all I have is the 1M.
Yeah, and
Hondas are great for learning on.
Yeah.
They're very forgiving.
There's not too many cheap modern cars that have manuals anymore. I think the Toyota Tacoma is one of the only trucks to offer a manual.
Trung just had one of those, right?
A
I
manual
don't
Tacoma?
know.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. And it was actually just recently, my son just turned 13, so I've been teaching him how to drive stick from the passenger side.
Oh,
So
yeah.
he'll put his hand on the
Oh,
shifter.
nice.
I just tell him what gear to put it in, and he just loves it. So he'll ask me to take him to school, pick him up from school, and he just enjoys throwing gears.
So you're prepping him for a future right-hand drive car.
No, well, not intentionally. Eventually, once he's 15, he can jump over to the left side.
It's freaking awesome. You should come autocross that thing. That
Yeah,
car's
I'd
perfect.
be happy to, yeah. We're actually going to get the exhaust setup installed on Tuesday.
Okay.
So it'll sound
Is
right.
Joe doing that?
Of course, yeah. Yeah.
We should have you and Joe on together. That dude, like, I freaking love Joe. He's a hoot and a half.
Joe is fantastic. And Joe is extremely knowledgeable when it comes to the mechanics of vehicles.
He has a nice long
works on all of
career,
them.
yeah.
So he would be, to give that perspective from a mechanics perspective, I think would be unique.
Yeah, we should have him on at some point.
Yeah,
Or
well, we got to have a whole lot of the Todd guys come on. You know, we
The
still
TOD
haven't
guys.
had Mo. We haven't had Jeff. We haven't had, Joe. Like, we got so many people.
Storms will tell you all about his Noble.
Yeah.
And he is very knowledgeable
And how
with
many times
BMWs.
it's broken?
Well, you know what? He's going to get it running right, and it's an absolutely beautiful car. We
Yeah,
just
it is one of a kind. I mean, like, there's one other Noble that I know of in
that
the
was
state.
sold, the gray one, right?
Well, it wasn't a Noble. What's the?
No. There was the green Noble that was like almost the exact same thing as Jeff's, and he was contemplating buying it for a little bit. And then there was also the Rosian, which also got sold.
Yes.
I don't know about the green Noble.
That
if
was
it's around
Jeff's.
still. Yes, that was Jeff's.
Yeah.
The other Jeff,
Right.
the Rosian.
Only Jeff's buy Nobles.
God, they look good though.
It is a sharp-looking car. It's great. It's phenomenal. I mean, it's a great track car.
Yeah.
When everything's dialed in, I mean, it's gonna be good to go.
Yeah. Unfortunately, you don't have enough microphones for all the TOD guys.
We got one more.
We have one extra, and
Yeah.
I don't want to go up to a fifth. We did a 5-mic podcast, and that was a catastrophe. So 4s are going to be our limit.
You should have Trung is another interesting guy, of course. You know him very well. A no-filtered version. That would be a lot
We
of
have
fun.
to put that behind a paywall.
That's what OF is for, right?
Oh my
do
God.
we have a monoxide OF yet?
We should definitely get an OnlyFans cooking for this. No, okay, so what are some pairings that we should have on this? Because we do want to start bringing in pairings on this. We haven't had any since the Texas catastrophe. I mean, who would you want to do a podcast with in the future?
Joe or Trung.
Joe or
Because
Trump?
Joe and I, we talk, all of us talk almost every day, and we have so much sarcasm, but we play off each other very well, and all of our conversations really resolve around the car community and just cars in general. That's how much passion we have for it, as many people do. But we live it, breathe it, enjoy it. It's just an integral part of our lives. But that's what brought us together as friends, too.
I love it. That's a beautiful note to end off on, and I'm not going to ruin it for once.
Yeah, great. Let him have the final word.
All right, well, let's sign off. We already got our 3 or whatever. But yeah, where can people find you, Terry?
You can go to Gitlow Media. It's available on Instagram and on Facebook. You'll see a lot of content, not of me, but of the car community from my perspective. And I generally like to take a lot of supercar content. And much of it is actually done on my phone here. So the last thing we did was Texas 2K. And the next thing you're going to be seeing is the trip to Monaco. So tons of footage there. So just go online and check it out.
I look forward to following that Monaco trip. That is phenomenal. I'm glad that this last minute podcast kind of worked out with us here. I've been wanting to have you since the first few episodes, but I was like, let's get this developed in, a little more than 10 episodes to get you on. So we'd love to have you on, especially with the boys or any of the boys.
Yeah.
So we could bring that up. So once this goes live, I'm sure the conversation will get shaken up. But other than that, people can find Sean at 1MN Mopar.
Yeah, thank you for shouting me out. I'm only on Instagram, so check me out there. And then if you're here, you already know all about Monoxide, so we don't really need to plug him that much.
Unless he's talking about his rally.
I've been watching a lot of Star Wars, and I know myself. And that was a horrible Yoda impression. Whatever, I'm ending this podcast. Anyways, thanks for coming on, Terry.
You bet.
Thank you, Sean, and see you guys next time.
Peace out.
Thank you.